Today's sponsor of the Vision Quest podcast is 920 Hat Company. Leather patch hats are in, and 920 Hat Company is here to hook you up with your very own custom hat. All patches are lasered on top-grade genuine leather and on popular brand hats like Richardson and FlexFit. Whether you're looking to show off your business or want a one-of-a-kind hat for yourself, 920 Hat Company can do it all. All the hats are handcrafted right in the Fox Valley, but worn across America. With over 500 hats in stock, they guarantee fast turnaround times. Honestly, Liam, looking at these hats, solid, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. I like them.
I like that patch itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one-of-a-kind stuff. I know his name's Trevor. He does great work. He's actually gotten I think we got a knit hat coming.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we got that coming. So we're really excited to have these guys on board as a sponsor. So get down to check them out on Facebook. I believe they're on Instagram. Check them out, man. They got the best hats, I think, in the Fox Valley, if not in the state.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So get down to 920 Hat Company on social media and check them out. And we're live. We are live once again. We are joined by a great guest. We are here in the Vision Quest podcast. I'm Brad. And again, we are joined with I'm going to tell you right now, probably one of the more highlight reels that I've ever seen as far as throws. When it comes to the Greco scene in general, man, you make a statement every single time. And well, you're the king at 77 kilograms. We have Kamal Bey. I appreciate you joining me, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Brad. It's good to be here. It's cool to be on the Vision Quest podcast. This is my first time being on the podcast too. So,
really?
This is something for me. Yeah, this is something.
All right, man. All right. So we have a first timer. So hopefully we can get you back in we get you kind of going, and we'll have you come back on and keep following you. Now, I've been watching you for a long time, dude. I mean, again, I mentioned the highlights that come on almost every time you're at a competition. I mean, you have high intensity and you look like you have a genuine love for what you're doing. And that's why it's fun watching you. And then what also interested in me talking to you, because you're one of those guys that's kind of, you're outspoken, but you don't speak enough. I think, when you take the opportunity to speak, you make it count. And that's the best part, so that makes it even more interesting. So we kind of talk about Greco quite a bit on the show, but I guess I want to find out more about you and what drove you to it. So, the gig, we talked to everybody from the start of things where you remember sports in general all the way to the end. Let's figure out where you're Oak Park, Illinois, right? Birthplace?
Yeah, sort of kind of Illinois boy. So I moved around a lot. Illinois. My parents were always sort of kind of looking for, the next best opportunity for me. So I ended up moving to Oak Park around 8th grade, graduated 8th grade middle school, then went to Oak Park River Forest High School.
Okay.
That following year, yeah.
Where did you originate from? Where before you went to Oak Park, where are you coming from?
Bellwood, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that grade school years? I mean, because
grade school years, Bellwood, Illinois. From Bellwood, Illinois, moved around again to Bolingbrook, and then from Bolingbrook, Illinois, would wrestle. Well, in Bellwood, I wrestled for the Gladiators, and Bolingbrook, I wrestled for the Harvey Twisters. So I moved around a lot. Yeah, so I moved around a lot just for the sport of wrestling. At the time, I was a 5-sport athlete, so like wrestling wasn't my main thing. My dad just had me in everything, so I got to try out a bunch of different things. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Where did you start? What was the first sport you started in?
It was wrestling and football first.
Wrestling and football. Yeah. So did your dad? What's the influence from dad? Was dad in sports? Was he a football player, wrestler? What was the deal?
My dad was he boxed 2 years professionally. In his time, he ended up winning a Golden Gloves championship. He had my sister at a young age, so it went from being a boxer to being a dad. And since then, he ended up coaching the Memorial Park, which the Memorial Park Spartans for like 25 years. So when I say like my dad raised the town, he raised the town. Like everyone knew who my dad was, and everyone knew who I was. So like when I started playing football, everybody, oh, that's Coach Bay's son. That's Coach Bay's son. Be nice to him. So I had like a little reputation like leading up to it. And I was the youngest. So like my dad like had an open door policy, like kids used to come up to him all the time. So I grew up with a lot of people in the house all the time. Like I'm talking about 11 other people who were living in the house, and it was chaotic. But everybody was an athlete and everybody was competitive. And I was the baby. I was the one carrying the milk carton around in a diaper, So, but we had a totem pole. Like at the top of it was like my cousin Omar, my oldest sister Ashley, and then I was right there, number 3. I was the baby, but I was the meanest. Yeah. I was the meanest. Like I'm not opposed to licking food so no one else could have it. Type deal.
You had to do what you had to do, man.
100%. You have to set the tone, otherwise people just walk all over you.
That's right, yeah.
But so a lot of people in the house at an early age, so it was never boring. And my dad was super duper competitive, and at an early age I was already super athletic. Every time my dad would find me, I was on the ceiling somewhere. One of his favorite stories he tells people is we had a park district, and they have like little bitty ball games and stuff, and they took me out and like they set me out on the bench, and my dad's like asking around like, where's Kamal at? And then I say, here I am, and I'm like at the top of the ceiling. I climbed up the walls, I'm on the ceiling, and my dad starts panicking. He's like, oh my gosh, like just come down, please, just come down, your mother's gonna kill me. And I end up coming down because he's nice to me, but yeah, he got me for that one. he was not happy that I was on the ceiling.
So what was the age that you started at? Was it 4 or 5 years old in sports? I mean, obviously you were the youngest, so they've been through it, and plus your dad had been through high level sports already.
Yeah,
you must have been in there. I would say probably birth then, probably, right?
I mean, 3 years old, I was a strong one.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
So wrestling when I was 3 years old, football 3 to 4 years old when I started football. And there was just so many opportunities because we live right next to the park district that I was able to participate in other sports, like baseball, basketball, and stuff like that. Yeah, even tennis for a little bit. So
nice. Yeah.
So literally, like full spectrum, like whatever. Just do it.
So that's pretty cool. So just knowing that, obviously your dad was a high level athlete, but at the same time he understood, and we noticed that a lot. That was some of the guys that have like dads that were high level athletes in general. You notice that they had a little more, I guess, give with the, hey, I know how rigorous it could be. Have fun with it, whereas you get a dad like me who wasn't always at that high level. I did a little bit with soccer, but not to what your dad was doing. But you kind of get an understanding of where these guys can see things. They have your dad had a different perspective than the average parent, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but he was super obviously competitive. what kind of, I mean, so you're the youngest, so you came up with brothers and sisters already that were highly competitive in whatever they chose to do. So you're just thrown into it. You don't have an option about being competitive. You're thrown into it. Where does that put you in the pecking order of the cereal line? Did you always fight to get to the cereal box first or to get to breakfast first? How was that?
That's a good question. So I was number 3 in the house. I was the baby. So
yeah.
I was obviously the smallest, but whatever I would do, I could never beat my oldest sister Ashley, and I couldn't beat my oldest cousin Omar.
No.
I just she would, man, my sister was mean. Like when I tell you my sister Ashley, she was mean. She used to play high school football, middle linebacker.
Woo.
Yeah, she could she could throw down.
Holy shit.
She could throw down. Yeah. I'm like, so when running to her, she was, if it wasn't me being the meanest, it would have been her. She didn't play any games. And
awesome.
Stud of an athlete, D1 basketball player. And my cousin Omar, he went to school in New Hampshire, was a state champion out there in New Hampshire.
Nice.
My dad sent him to study in a different state, thought it was the best move for him. And he came back. He was really successful out there. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So when you started wrestling at a young age, and obviously you're mixing other sports in with it, staying active. And that's kind of how things were with us too. Like I'm going to be 45 in January here, but that's all we did. Like our parents didn't know high level, but they knew play sports, play it well, go to practice, do your thing. So when you have a high level, parent athlete plus the competitiveness in the house, where were your, I guess, skill levels as you started to get older and things? Were you a little more skilled than the average kids that were in the room when it came to being, and plus the competitiveness you had already? What was that like kind of growing up? What did you find things were a little easier for you in certain situations than other kids?
I would say because of just how well versed I was in different sports, it definitely contributed to my growth and development. Plus growing up in a household where everybody is an athlete, so you just sort of kind of absorb things, at a young age, you absorb everything. Kids absorb everything.
Right. Right.
Basketball from my sister, wrestling from my cousin Omar and so forth. It was just everything that seemed hard for other kids, I didn't understand. I was like, what do you mean you can't do a cartwheel? What do you mean you can't do a backflip? I'm sitting there spinning around on the monkey bars like it's nobody's business. And everybody's like, man, you're super duper athletic. But it also helps out having crazy good friends. My best friend, one of my groomsmen at my wedding, Isaiah White, I grew up wrestling with him all the time.
Yeah.
And the reason I would move to Harvey is because I started wrestling Greco Roman. So I didn't really shoot on legs or anything.
That young. Okay.
Yeah, I started wrestling Greco Roman when I was 3. Yeah. So yeah. So my first tournament, my first folk style tournament, I wrestled Isaiah White in the finals, and he blew right through me. My dad was just like, man, we got to go over there. We got to start learning some of that, So then I ended up transitioning over to a twister and meeting guys like Randy Manyweather and stuff like that. Top caliber athletes in the Harvey Twister program. And while at the same time competing against people in the state of Illinois. Illinois is a powerhouse when it comes to wrestling. Midwest, heavy hands, everyone Midwest, they hand fight. So growing up being mean for one thing, you just kind of sort of adapt and roll with the punches. Now I get hit, I'm just like, it's whatever. Whatever. Love taps,
So you're coming up fairly competitive, especially within the sport. I mean, what were some of the first tournaments you kind of remember hitting it, or and I guess big event to you? What were some of the first that you hit as a kid that you kind of remember okay, this is what I'm going to do?
One of the tournaments was Tulsa Nationals. So Tulsa Nationals was a tough tournament. So I've only been to Tulsa twice, and each time I didn't win it. I didn't win it one time. The first time, I was 88 pounds or something like that. Lost out in that tournament, and then the second time I went, they messed up my weight. So I was supposed to wrestle 103 pounds, but they put me in at 130.
Oh,
yeah, they put me in at 130. So I was
no.
I remember me and my dad, I was like, I don't think this is the right weight class. Everybody looks way bigger than me. And I go out there,
go eat, man.
Yeah, my dad was like, well, we drove all the way out here. We're just gonna compete. So I'm 103 pounds. I'm wrestling against a bunch of 130 pounders, and
man,
I won a match though, so I had some heart. But after that, I was zapped. I'm like, man, these dudes are big.
That'll turn you off of folk style real quick.
Oh, it was a funny tournament. It motivated me. I was just like, man, if I was probably my weight class, I probably would have got these guys,
Yeah.
That was funny. That was one of my funniest trips. They used to have a tournament that they held at Michigan State all the time. I can't remember what it was called. Something the battle something. That one was a tough tournament. And there was one kid there that I remember, Jelani Embre or Umbre. Dude's a beast, man. He's super swole. Like he used to always wanted to wrestle me, but like it was like he would just lose out in the semifinals. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, whew, man, that dude looked tough. And it was one of those tournaments that was always on my birthday. So like Illinois, we do like, birthday hits. So like everybody on the team would like beat me up after the tournament. They're like, "Where's Kamal?" I'm hiding in my hotel room. I'm like, "I'm not coming outside." And they're like,
"I'm not coming out there.
We're not gonna get you." I'm like, "All right." I'm looking out my window. Okay.
Guys, I believe you. Yeah, exactly.
Like, kids are funny, man.
Yeah,
they are. Funny.
Yeah, they are. They're tricky. We'll say they're tricky.
Oh yeah, mischievous.
Yeah, for sure.
To say the least. But they grew up like always, being able to laugh at situations and stuff. That's one thing like wrestling teaches you, because there's moments where it sucks. I remember going on long road trips. All my friends are in the back because my dad used to have like this luxury like travel van. So like all my friends.
Your dad was that guy. Your dad was the guy.
We pulled up correct. We pulled up correct at the tournament.
That's awesome.
We're like sitting in the back and we're going to Virginia Beach for the Virginia Duels. We're going there.
Yeah.
And my friend Isaiah's dad, Coach Walt. He used to like get fried chicken. He'd just have like a bucket of fried chicken. Everybody's in the back cutting weight. And he's like, "You guys start drooling, you'll be on weight." And we just sitting there.
Smell in there. That's awesome.
Everybody's lips chapped, ashy. We like, man, that smells.
That's the best. Yeah. Well, like you said, that kind of that builds that camaraderie, and that builds, I guess, the spirit of just, this is my thing, this is my sport, and a lot of kids have that now, especially that not many people have. And again, you being able to come up in such an environment, especially with Harvey Twisters, I mean, that's obviously a proven program, and everybody, if you haven't heard of them, you should have by now. But knowing that you're kind of growing up in a heavy hitting room, but you're also a competitive kid who's like, I can't even, watching you now, I can't even imagine what it was like watching you as a kid. I mean, because obviously we get bigger, right? You become an adult, things you're not as like when you're a kid, you're flying everywhere, right? Like you're rubbery, number one. Number two, you're so much energy that you're ready to go. I can only imagine what it was like watching you wrestling folk style back in the day as a kid. So knowing that you said you got into Greco early, where did that put folk style in, like going to school, Harvey Twisters? I mean, I'm not really too, like I don't like stalk Harvey Twisters, but did they have a Greco program?
So they have some Harvey Twisters who were known for throwing. So Coach Bill, who was who always, like, he was one of those coaches that when other people told me to stop throwing, he was like, "Man, don't you ever stop throwing." Like, that's you, that's who you are. Like, you can add stuff to it, but like never take anything away. Right. And then there's TC Dantzler, Thomas Curtis Dantzler.
Okay.
At the time, I was one of the Harvey Twisters who was known for throwing. So I would go, like, they'll be like, don't lock up with him, don't go upper body with him. He's gonna try to throw you. So one of the ways I had to refine my folk style pretty much is when I got into high school. Yeah, I was coached by Mike Powell, Jeremy Powell, Coach Collins, Octavius Bellamy, and so forth. Yep. So like it was probably my freshman year. That's when I started like really understanding and learning the basics. High school wrestling in Illinois it's intense. You got good schools. You got like Montini Catholic. Yep. You got Marist High School. So like it's deep. Like in Carl Sandburg, which was our nemesis. Yep. Essentially, Nelmy and Montini are our nemesis. I remember some days we'll be at practice and Coach Powell would be like, "We're gonna do a 6-minute go," but I called Montini and they said they were going 7 minutes, so we're going 8 minutes.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, he need to stay off his phone. He needs to stay off his phone. Why he keeps calling them?
Yeah, stop doing that.
Yeah, but that Oak Park room, that my freshman year is really where I got to like kind of hone and like sharpen like my folk style side of things, and mix in my Greco stuff in there too. It was a great room, man. We had, I think almost everybody in that room was ranked in the country,
really?
Across all our weights. Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
high in the country, like top 15 people in the country, and Coach Walt used to say, if you look around the room and you can't find no butter, it's because you are the butter. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I remember my first. Yeah, I remember my first practice there. My freshman year, I wrestled Devontae Mahomes, who ended up going to school at Michigan. That previous year, he just took third at state in Illinois. And I remember like my first day, like I like had to walk out the room. He had me crying because like I've never got beaten the way he beat me that first day in practice. I was like, it's supposed to be a hard drill. It felt like I was wrestling live.
Yeah.
I go back and I tell my dad, and my dad's like, well, that's the room you need to be in right there.
Yeah.
So
he's right.
Yeah.
He's
so
right.
After that, everything kind of just sort of went uphill. And after my freshman year, I got more control of my body, my mat awareness, match strategy, everything got better. It got to the point where I started breakdancing in the middle of the matches. Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. We had the Fab Five, our Fab Five, Oak Park's Fab Five, which was 5 freshmen who made the varsity team, and we all made it to state that year. So we called ourselves the Oak Park Fab Five. Yeah. And we used to like put on like carnival acts. You would think you would pull up and we were like, we're doing front flips over each other, back flips over each other, and everybody would just stop and watch it. Like they just and our warm-up was hard too. Like it would leave other people like super duper gas, and we were working out, we're warming up hard, and then we just started doing flips, look like carny folk, just like man, like these are some athletes. And we started doing this thing.
Yeah, that's right. Athletes,
And we started doing this thing. We called it footworking when we were out there wrestling, and we would just start like doing all the craziest things, trying to get the takedowns. And like if you like look at some of like my high school matches on Flow, you will see like me doing like the footworking thing, taking people down.
Yeah. I saw a couple of those. Yeah, you're almost. I think you were doing the Muhammad Ali, I think, for a second and a couple of them. Facing the guy and you quick moving your feet over, and I was like, God, man, I would have tripped over my feet in a heartbeat doing that.
Like jumping over people's heads, like making wrestling exciting, because like folk style for me, it was boring, so I would do everything in my power to make it exciting. And like
okay,
it was cool because it was like my own little style of wrestling. Greco was my love, without a doubt. I used to love being on Team Illinois teams.
Yeah,
Greco is all I cared about.
Let's talk about that for a second, because you just said that like folk style kind of was boring you for a little, well, maybe not for a little while, probably since you started, but with being able to incorporate Greco as much as you can into folk style, where were you? I mean, were you, because we look at Lucas Stout right now, right, where he's got his club where he wants kids to just focus on Greco, and that's what they do.
Yep.
Where was your mind at that time? Because Greco, I mean, even then wasn't the hugest thing going on the planet, right? But what wrestling itself was starting to climb. Greco got a little recognition with it, but where was your frame of mind? Like, I would rather just go train Greco and do Greco. I don't want to do high school wrestling. Was your brain ever there?
Briefly, I could say briefly. Yeah, like it wasn't something that I was stressed about. My personality, like it is what it is, like
okay, sure.
My dad would say that all the time, so that's pretty much how I came up. It is what it is, like so with the Greco side of things, like I won state my sophomore year, so
all right,
like in my mind it was like, what's the next big thing? Like I've never been the type of person to like focus on something I've already done. I'm always like, well, what's bigger than this? What's next? And luckily for me, it didn't take long at all. So that next year, my junior year, Matt Linland from the Olympic Training Center comes and asks me like, hey, do you want to come wrestle Greco? And he thought it was going to take me like a week to decide. But like right then and there, I was like, heck yeah, I'll wrestle Greco. Like I ain't doing nothing else around here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 17 years old, just got offered by the head coach of the national team to come wrestle Greco. Like, it was huge. So the hardest part about it was saying goodbye to everybody, I would say.
Right.
That was the hardest part. Because I love my home. I love my friends. I love my family. They're everything. That's my number one support system.
Right.
Like, you can almost get emotional when you talk about, home like that. Like I can like, people can say whatever they want about me, whatever. I can get hurt, but hey, my family, that's everything to me.
Well, and that's the biggest thing too. You have a great, and that's the thing. You have a great support system, and a lot of the guys we talked to all came with a great support system. And again, your dad having the high level athletic experience that he's had, he knows the goals that you have and what it takes to get there. So having that, especially the support system that knows that, that is experienced that, it's hard for just an average dude like me to be able to say, hey, yeah, that's exactly what you should do. But you guys only have a finite amount of time, right? Like you can only do it for so long before it's done. Whereas a school's going to be there when you're done, right? Yeah. Those aren't going anywhere. Yeah. Your ability to compete dwindles. The education will always be there. So was there ever a time? So you said this was your senior year that Lyndon talked to
Junior
you?
Year.
Junior year. So your junior year. Okay. So did you wrestle your senior? Did you go to high school your senior year, or did you move out to the Olympic Center?
Yeah. So my senior year, I got to live with one of my heroes for high school, Thomas Curtis Dansler. Yeah, Greco Roman 2008 Olympian. So I got to live with him and his family, and man, just life changing, man. They to this day they still are like some of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, they took care of me, and it switches the gears from being like the youngest in my family because I had to be a big brother.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like my family is like it's just growing. And
right.
TC had two sons, Tommy and Tice, and then he had two daughters, True and Talia.
Yeah,
they're my everything, man. They're my everything. As long as they're good, we're good. Everything's good out here in Colorado, So
yeah. Well, and I think again, that's just kind of the things that we talk about a lot on the show is the support system, your goals, your visions, the things that you want to accomplish. But the relationships that are built along the way too are pretty big. And like you keep finding more and more as you go along, as you discover things about yourself and figuring out what you want to do. And before you left high school, though, the one thing I wanted to ask about was what Fargo. Obviously you made it? I mean, in Greco. So how did that go how was Fargo for you?
Yeah, and that actually is one of the reasons I got scouted by Matt Lindland too.
Right.
Yeah. So after state, obviously the next big thing for high school wrestling is Fargo.
Yeah.
And for me, like I never cut weight really in high school like that. Okay. So after grade school, it was like, hey, whatever you weigh, that's what you're gonna go do. You're gonna go wrestle. And Fargo, I would wrestle good guys, man. I would wrestle Bo Brasky. I would wrestle Mark Hall. Yeah, and like me and Bo used to have some scraps in there, and then me and Mark too. Mark is really good at wrestling still to this day, and it's cool seeing them. And like we're still good friends, group chat and everything.
Yeah.
So Fargo, Greco Roman was the most important thing for me. So after I won Greco, they were trying to convince me to stay and wrestle freestyle, but I was like, nah, I'm out of here, dude. Like I got my national title finally. Because my first time going, like I didn't win. Like I'm like, dang, this sucks.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's one of those tournaments, man. Yeah. So that was kind of why I asked, because I mean that's a daunting task to just shit. This is tough.
Yeah,
And then so now, what about the year after?
Yeah, like a whole lot of stop signs. Well, a whole lot of yield signs we called them. We didn't call them stop signs. They were smaller than the stop signs. So I got a bunch of second places, and then my junior year I finally won it. I was like, okay, I'm good now. I got my Fargo title. What's next? Then
next.
Matt Lindland comes into the picture, and he picks me up to come wrestle Greco.
That's awesome.
That's a whole experience itself. So, I don't know, like growing up with like TC, living with TC, it was like it was like almost being like an anime character. I felt like Goku. Like he would have me just doing random stuff in the neighborhood, landscaping. He was like, hey, this guy said he'll pay you if you go over here and move all these rocks. So like one summer, me and Tommy were just doing landscaping, and like we got like big, we got like strong because we were like just wheelbarrowing rocks.
You guys are gang gabling it,
yeah. We're just getting strong, and then he's just going over body lock position with us, and then
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then we have junior trials. Oh, go ahead.
Well, when you got asked by Lindland, like because you said you had to say goodbye to everybody. You're taking a whole new venture, a whole new course. What was the landing spot for you when you got out there? Because you're young, right? You're a kid, and the experience that you're about to have, you don't even know about, right? So that we always talk about, especially the kids that are going to college, they're making a 4 or 5 year decision that they have no clue what's going to come about it, what's going to happen. You know what your goals are, right? But so when you get out there, Matt, brings you out there, and you're training with TC, right? When you got out there, right?
Yeah.
Was that because of the situation? You're still young. Were you living at the facility, or were you living with TC as well?
I was living with TC, so
you were there full time. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
All right, gotcha.
It was my first year, so he wanted me to graduate high school, make friends, and that's exactly what I did. I graduated high school. I made a ton of friends, and then from there, the real training started. So now we're at the Olympic Training Center.
Yep.
And my first 2 weeks there, I remember just getting beat up. Like, man, like I'm like, you guys.
Who are some of your partners?
So, man, I had everybody, man. I had Patrick Martinez, I had Rayvon Perkins, Jesse Filkey. Yeah, like there were some names in there. And then Cheney Height and TC would wrestle with me too around that time. And then Andy was around then. Robbie Smith was around there. Like, I didn't wrestle with Robbie. I I didn't wrestle with Robbie whatsoever, but he's just somebody you get to see.
Yeah, and,
right. Visual learning, I should say.
Yeah.
Visual learning. Yeah. But I had those guys, and like those are like my brothers, man. Like growing up with them, being able to grow as a wrestler with them was huge. And those first 2 weeks were rough. They were rough. And I don't know, like for me, like I had to kind of sort of change like my outlook on it. I'm just like, man, enough's enough. That's enough. Like I'm tired of getting beat up so much, So I would they would just do stuff to me, and like instead of always like trying to fight it, I would just go with it and see what they were doing. And then that's how and then I developed like a bunch of counter offense, like counter defense and stuff like that. So that's like when my turn of wrestling started happening, and then I started putting pieces together. Like once you know what people are doing to you, then you can do it, and you can learn how to avoid it. So I started progressing at like leaps and bounds, and having those guys in the room, it was a game changer. It was a game changer.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And then I'm 18 years old, and then I got my brother and another one of my groomsmen, Giangelo Hancock, with me. And we're two babyface killers on the international scene. Like we're going places, and we're wrecking havoc.
D'Angelo's no joke, man.
Oh yeah, Tracy don't play. Tracy don't play. Tracy don't play, man.
Yeah.
But it was just good to have someone around my age who he was going through the same thing I was. People don't know. Like Greco Roman is tough. Like take away the leg portions of everything you know how to do in wrestling. Like majority of people would be stuck. They would be stuck.
So that's kind of an interesting factor. I meant to ask, any folk style titles for you in high school?
State champ.
Okay. State champ, once, twice?
One time state champ, Illinois.
One time. Whatever, Illinois. That's pretty damn perspective. Because as short-lived as it was for you as far as folk style goes, I mean, it's not like you weren't dedicated to it, but it just kind of seemed like because your brain was always on what's the next best thing kind of thing.
Yeah. Folk style nationals too. I won that too. I always forget about folk style nationals.
Okay. Yeah. So you talking preseason nationals down in Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Nice, man. Yeah. And what weight classes?
160.
What? Ooh,
yeah. So I came into high school wrestling at a man's weight. They told me to wrestle 145. And all right, funny story. So
yeah.
They told me Coach Collins is there. He's helping me lose weight. They told me that I'm going to register at 145 for the year. So I'm on the treadmill and I'm running, and like I hated cutting weight. I was the worst at it. So I'm on the treadmill and I'm running. He pokes his head out for like 10 seconds, comes back. I'm gone. He comes down. He's looking for me all over the school. And Oak Park Number 4 is a huge school. It got 4 floors. 4,000 kids went to this school. And he finds me in the cafeteria. I'm drinking a milk and eating a muffin. I said, I'm not going 145. I broke so bad. I was like, I'm not going 145.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So yeah,
I can't do it, Coach.
I grew into 154. I was just like, yeah, this is my weight. And so I made the varsity team at 154.
That's awesome. Liam came into his freshman year at 165. And I mean, there was no joke, but we were the same way, because I came up as far as the not cutting weight, because I came up in the throwing up and the spitting and the rubber suit era. And you duct tape the ends of the rubber suit so that way the moisture doesn't get out and the heat doesn't escape.
Yeah.
So we right away decided that, same thing. We're not going to do it. We always wrestled him up a weight class. Once in a while, we do the pounder too if he was right on the edge, but it was always the next one up. And then we got him into high school, especially at Super 32, and that's just a friend of mine calls it a professional weight cutters tournament. And Liam was wrestling 165 with her. All those guys are cutting from like 175, 180. They're huge. So it's a respectable thing, knowing, especially that, like you said, it's just not worth it. I'd rather be healthy and be able to eat.
Healthy and fat. It made my high school experience all the different, because my friends who were cutting weight, they weren't eating a Chipotle burrito, like I was. They were like, "How are you eating?" Like my coach Powell used to get so upset with me because he would like see what I was eating before I went up.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, "You're not gonna eat that whole burrito before you go out there." I was like, "Watch me."
Mm-hmm.
I am. Like, "Oh, watch me."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
There and wrestle hard, and go out there and wrestle hard, man.
Exactly. And it's a healthy thing. I mean, it's honestly, some kids can handle it. We all know there are those couple kids that are on the team that are cutting the 15 pounds or whatever to get down to what they want to for state, but there's just some kids who can't do it, man. And I don't think Liam could do it either if he had to sit there and cut a ton of weight. But
great choice.
What did you find yourself when it came down to wrestling and weight management with what you got into as a young kid? I mean, 17, 18. What type of weight management were you thrown into there? Because they had nutritionists and stuff, right? And and people to help you with that, right?
Yeah. Right about the time I started my international career, I was attempting to play football at the high school, but they wouldn't let me play. The state association said because I was going there to train at the Olympic Training Center that I could not participate in any high school activities that I participated in Illinois. So
wow,
so now I'm pretty much like, it sucked, but at the same time I'm saving my mileage essentially. So like I couldn't play football, I couldn't wrestle on the team, but I could still give advice to the wrestlers and stuff, like help them out that way, be a manager.
You're a registered weapon now, so you can't
and be like a mentor. So like I helped out in that aspect of it, but they wouldn't let me do anything. So around that time, Lynn is telling me that I got to be 74 kilos, and I only know pounds. And I was like, sure. 74 kilos, no problem. And he's like, how much you weighing right now? I was like, about 193 pounds. And then the phone just goes dark. Because like I'm big because I'm getting ready for football. I played everywhere. So I played safety, outside linebacker, slot receiver, running back. So I was getting ready for football because you want to be big so you can lay the hammer, So
drop like 30 pounds yet, right? I don't remember what that.
So he's like, you say you weigh how much? I'm like 193, 194. What's up? 74 kilos.
That's great.
He's like, yeah. So 74 kilos is like 163 pounds. Now the phone goes dark on my end.
Oh my god.
I'm just like, you're freaking kidding me. Like, he was like, you can do that, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can do that because they brought me in because Andy Bezic was done wrestling after the 2016 game. So
that's right. Yeah,
he was done wrestling. So they were bringing me in to be a 74. And in high school, that year I wrestled 165 for my team. So they didn't think it'd be a problem. But I always get super huge for football. So
yeah, right.
Now we're in the part where I'm like losing weight, and like I'm losing weight with my good friend Jordan Martinez, who was one of the people that I met out in Colorado. So we're in the sauna and like we're getting ready for like making the junior team, the junior world team. So we're in the sauna. We both like just fall out the sauna like, whoo. I was like, Jordan, man, I'm losing a lot of weight. And he's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. And like we're at TC's house. We spend the night at TC's house because we're about to fly out to Vegas the next morning. Like we keep walking back and forth to the refrigerator because we're eating grapes. we're eating grapes. It was so funny.
How quickly did you have to lose that weight? How quickly did you have to lose that?
I had time.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I can get really big and I can get really small. It's just like it's weird how my body operates sometimes. Like even now, like I walk around at 90 kilos sometimes, and then I'll get down to 77. I don't know how I get so big.
How much can you float? How much weight? Yeah.
About a pound usually.
Okay.
A night.
Okay.
But if it's freezing, But if it's freezing, I can do like a pound 0.5. So
yeah.
So
sleep with the covers off.
Yeah. No problem. And I don't know how I get so big. Like, like my body is weird. Like, if you ever see me, my calves are huge, and I blame my calves for like holding all that liquid in. That's why my nickname is Camel. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that night before we go to Vegas, and and I make my first junior team at this time. Like me, Tracy, Tommy, and Jordan. We're like, it's the night of, like, we're about to go weigh in, and TC like busting our room. We're all outside the room, busting our room, and he comes back out, and there's like a bottle of pop. So it's like a bottle of soda, and he's like, who was drinking soda? And on the way there, everybody already messed up. TC was already mad at everybody else. So I was like, dang, it's my turn to take the blame for something. Everybody else is getting chewed up out here.
Oh, so my God.
So I was like, it's my soda. Like, he doesn't get mad at me, but I think he can tell that I took the blame for somebody. I was like, it's my soda. So yeah, TC doesn't like, he's like, man, you got to do everything right. So
yeah.
Super funny.
That's a good role model, man.
Oh no, he's the best, man. He's the best. Yeah. That dude. He can take all the pressure out the room. He can make it feel like, he can make it feel like it's just another thing, another event, just like riding a bike.
Yeah.
He's dope.
What was the first event you went to once you got out to Colorado? What was your first international event?
My first international was in state, and it was the Dave Schultz.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So was that your first exposure to like international guys too?
Yes, my first time. So I would say I did really well my first time. I beat 2 international guys, and I beat NCAA All-American at the time, and I was only 18 years old. Yeah. So I didn't medal though. I didn't medal at my first one. Sure. I medaled at my second one, which was the NYAC, the New York Athletic Club tournament.
Oh, okay.
In New York. That was my second one. Yeah. And I won gold at that one, but that my first one I ended up taking 4th. And it was because I wrestled a Terminator of a person, Alec Ortiz.
Oh, yeah.
When you're a kid, it's just like, man, I'm like, this dude does not get tired. Like, we put up like football scores, it seemed like, in that match.
Yeah.
Well, I was like,
I mean, that's a great tournament to cut your teeth in and win. I mean, let's be real here. That's I'm just watching some of the competition this past go around. I mean, it's some good competition was there. Yeah. When you started kind of getting your hands onto these guys, obviously you were doing Greco, but were you starting to feel like, okay, this is my realm? I'm gonna run this once I start. Obviously you're young yet, but you're like, I'm gonna run this once we get down the road here. Because I mean, you were talking about you won Final X. I mean, you're placing at championships and stuff like that, even at a young age. So let's talk about that. Where were some of where was your first overseas experience? What tournament was that?
So my first overseas experience was it was in Darag, Hungary. Yep. So that was my first time overseas. My first trip was in Hungary. And I went to that trip with my friend and teammate Britton Holmes, Peyton Omania, who wrestles at Michigan right now, and a few other guys from the Bay team. I forget the name, CSM, something like that. So that was our first trip overseas, and I won a gold medal in the junior tournament, and I was everybody's favorite person there. So
yeah.
At that time, I had like crazy hair. Like, I had one of the biggest afros that you'll ever see, and I was wrestling with it. So like, when I was getting there, like, it was a small little town. So like, I don't know if I was like the first black person to visit or what.
Yeah.
But all the kids were like, touching me, playing with my hair and stuff, and I was like, man, this is weird. This is
oh shit, right? People just running up,
like just twisting my hair and stuff. But I won gold at that tournament, and
nice.
Yeah. And I wrestled someone who became a lifelong friend, Thomas Levi.
Okay.
The Levi brothers, there's 3 of them. They're all freaking powerhouses, mean as hell at Greco Roman wrestling.
Yeah.
I would soon face his brother later on that year because I make the junior team, and I wrestled his brother in the quarterfinals. And Zoltan is a monster, man. Like,
that sounds like a monster.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, your name's Zoltan, man. I never heard I'm from America. I never heard nobody call Zoltan before. You sound like
sounds like a monster.
So it's funny because I mess with him now. I call myself the 4th Levi because like I wrestle all of them so much. I'm like, at this point, we're family.
That's cool. So when you started to get your feet wet a little more, I mean, it sounds like you were doing right off the get-go. What was a goal that you set for yourself when you first got, your international feet wet? Where you started to kind of realize this one's important. this, this tournament's important, because there are different, obviously there's points tournaments, there's things like that. What did you set your eyes out for once you first started getting into the international tournament scene?
I wanted to make all 3 teams. I wanted to make the junior team, I wanted to make the U23 team, and I wanted to make the senior team.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. So right off the rip, like, why not me? Like,
yeah.
Why can't I be that guy? And I got one of the best rooms. At this time, we had one of the best rooms in the country. Ben Provisor was in that room too. Like, we had, it was like literally one of the best rooms in the country, and we ended up getting Sancho a little bit later on too. So like, now, like, we got names, we got competition within the room.
Yeah,
we were just growing, and from right then and there, I was just like, man, I want to be a junior world champ, I want to be a U23 champ, and so forth. Accomplished one of those feats. I ended up becoming a junior world champ. I didn't get U23s, because I ended up getting suspended.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. Why though? What happened?
Whereabouts failures. So
really,
we have our USADA is like pretty much like the governing body for as far as like testing school.
Yeah.
USADA, and they you have to fill out your location, your whereabouts every day for the entire year, so they know exactly where you are. You have to include travel days. You go on vacation. You have to include the hotel room number, everything. So
the whole year.
Yeah, the whole year. And
oh my God.
Yeah. So you got to know all your stuff. It's like pretty much quarterly. So each quarter you have to resubmit your whereabouts. And if you're not in the location at the time, or if they come by and you're just not around, and you say you're going to be there at that specific time, then you get a mark on you. So you only get three chances. And I was just like, as a young man, like, that was really hard for me, because
that's
like
a tight leash.
I would travel so much, and then like also like trying to go home, see family and stuff like that. Like, it got to the point, like, after like my second strike, I was afraid to go anywhere. They're like, well, you want to go? You want to? Nope. Because one of those strikes, I like left to, where did I go? I think I left the OTC to go roller skating on a Sunday, and they tested me. They came to test me, and I wasn't there, and I like didn't have my phone on, so I ended up getting the X for that. That sucked. Yeah.
Bowling.
Yeah.
Because he was bowling, folks. He was bowling.
Bowling, roller skating, and stuff like that, man. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Another time on the phone, I was on a plane and I lost my phone heading to Germany, and I couldn't fill out my whereabouts, and they came and tested me. Then I was like, man, like, how do they always know I'm leaving when they come? You're
like Google. They're just in there.
Yeah, but it happens. You learn from it, and it just makes you a more responsible person. Like, it sucks because during that time was also the time for the 2020 games. It got postponed because of COVID. Yeah. And I was just like,
let's talk about
that. Could have been me.
Yeah, let's talk about that area for you with COVID. So 2020, right? So you're out of high school, you're out there. 2020 is what the year. I was looking at your credentials. 2020 was a year you placed, right? Was it 10th at Worlds?
Yeah. So 2019, I placed 10th at Worlds. I beat China, and I beat 2 Cubans, and then I lost to Azerbaijan in the quarterfinals. That's another thing we got to talk about, because they don't realize how big these brackets are, man.
Yeah. So let's talk, because I want to talk a little bit about because COVID and training too. I mean, on top of that, what was that like for you? How were you getting back and forth? Like, did you have obviously, I think the Olympic Training Center locked down. They got all the high school kids out, I heard. Then there was like the adult athletes are kind of let go sporadically. Where did you wind up going from there once you had to leave the U.S. Olympic Training Center?
So, the worst part about being suspended by USADA is that you can't wrestle. So I can't wrestle anybody who is a U.S. national team member or competing. So,
okay.
So I was like literally off of that. So,
but you can get to RTCs or guys that are other
none. No, can't touch nobody.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah, you're sanctioned. You can't wrestle on the mat. Nothing.
Yeah.
So at this time in my life, I'm trying to figure out, well, how the heck do you win in a situation like this? Because this is terrible. I'm like, it's a whereabouts failure, but like out of all my tests I had with USADA, never popped high for anything. So I'm like, man, the punishment didn't meet the crime in my opinion. And so figuring out how to win in this situation. So at that time I was like, I'm gonna get into the Army. I got into the Army.
Okay.
went through basic training during my suspension and everything. So as nearing the end of my suspension, once I got done with my AIT and stuff, and I got picked up by the WCAP program, the World Class Athlete program.
Okay. Yeah. What was basic training like for you? How was that?
It was funny. It was funny. It was hilarious, man. Like, we were sitting there getting smoked, and I'm like, for people who don't know what getting smoked is, it's when you're getting punished by your drill sergeant, making you do push-ups, jumping jacks, a bunch of different exercises because you thought it was okay to smile or something.
Yeah, like,
right. They always say put them teeth on safe private. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, drill sergeant. So it was hilarious to me because these like people that I was in basic training with, like some of them, it looked like they never worked out a day in their life. Like they were crying. There was this one kid. He was my friend. His name was what was his name? Oh my gosh. I want to say like DePaul or something like that. He's an Indian kid, DePaul from DePaul or something like that. Like we had a nickname for him. And one time, like we were getting smoked so bad, he reverted back to his native language, and I was like, "You're killing him." I was just like, "You're killing him, drill sergeant.
You're making him go back."
I'm like, he reverted, like he stopped speaking English immediately. I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like I started dying laughing. I thought it was so funny. And in the middle of like we're getting smoked, we're doing like the V up, and people are like sitting there crying, and I'm laughing because this is just hilarious to me. Like we grew up doing this when we were 3 years old.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was great. It was great.
So you got through that fairly easily. You got accepted by the WCAP, and so from there, what happens? Are you on like any type of a probationary type thing once they release you from like being able to compete, things like that? Do they put you on tighter restrictions at all?
No, not really. It just goes right back to normal. You get your 3 strikes. Yeah, you get your 3 strikes. But this time, I'm so on top of it. Like, like if I'm going somewhere, travel day, you don't know where you're gonna be immediately. Make it 2 travel days.
Right.
When we get to our location, because that was a terrible time.
I was gonna say that, knowing that you're that competitive and then things are going on, and then COVID, obviously, all the garbage that goes along with that was not making anything any easier. Where now I know the if I could remember the guy's name, Steph out of the Army WCAP. I can't remember his name. Stefanik, was he Army?
Spencer? No, he's Marine. Stefanowicz.
Yes, he's Marines. That's right. Okay.
Marines. Yeah.
That's I guess I know you guys all have your own training, your own training facilities, but do you guys wind up training together sometimes as far as the military side of it, or you guys kind of have your own camps?
It's more so like we will train together if we're like at the Olympic Training Center. So like WCAP does its own thing. Fort Carson, where we got our own room and stuff. We work out there, but we got we're getting closer with the OTC now, so like sometimes we go over there and we train with them. So everybody wrestles everybody, obviously. So yeah.
So what are your eyes on as soon as you get the Army WCAP? What are your goals? I mean, obviously a world team, things like that, to be able to compete. But what did you have to get through? Like, what were the steps you had to get through to kind of get to that? Because you had to train, man. I mean, things had slowed down, right? So where were you trying to get to?
So things for me, like, sort of kind of just like stop, like, in a way, like I'm 25 years old right now, but I lost 2 years of wrestling. So like like in my mind, I'm 23. Like,
right.
So I'm 23 and I haven't touched another person, let alone worked on any Greco. So it was foreign to me. And I say it's like it's a good and bad, because like it's fun to learn, right? So
right. Yeah.
There I am in the program, and like I'm relearning all the things that I missed before. And it's just like, wow, like, that could have been the difference maker when I was like actually competing, from that time.
Oh, yeah.
So, in the WCAP program, they got great wrestlers. They got Jamil Byer, Sean Lewis, Spencer Mango, Hodge, Bruce Robinson. Like, they got good coaches, good coaches, and they're teaching me things. Like, one of the things that I struggled with early on was learning how to pummel. So like pummeling is hard. Like, people don't realize, to do something like that for 6 minutes, it seems so simple, but
it's not.
Yeah, you fighting another, top 1% of the world, dude. And
grown ass man that knows how to compete at it. Yeah,
you got to stay in the phone booth, dude.
Right.
Let those look. The second that arm breaks, man, underhook, meat hooks are coming. That's what they say. The meat hooks are coming.
Yeah.
And now you're giving up ones, you're giving up twos, but being able to pick their brain, and then being able to wrestle high caliber athletes,
right.
when Greco Roman started like going downhill, the OTC ended up like they got rid of like all their veteran athletes. So there was a time period where I was wrestling bands every day and then expected to go overseas and like, compete and bring back a medal. It's just like, bands are cool, like restricted training is cool and everything, but not every day.
No.
So, right. At that point I was just like relying off of athletic ability alone. So it was like, instinct almost, I'm like, man, like you get so gassed out, you don't realize the importance of having good partners until something like that happens to you.
For sure. Yeah. And now when you're training at the Army WCAP, where were there differences that you noticed in how they train versus anybody else? You know how like in college wrestling, like they talk about Iowa's like their room is like this, but Penn State's is like this. Were there any differences that you were able to gather? Tons of knowledge there, obviously.
Yeah.
Were there any differences you were able to gather from their room versus where maybe you were learning somewhere else, like even at the OTC? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The professionalism,
okay,
completely different. You're dealing with people in the military, so we're all about being places on time, acting professional. And everyone there is qualified to be there. You can't just get into the world-class athlete program. You have to be qualified to get in there. And we have benchmarks that we have to hit each year to stay within the program. So everybody there, there is working.
Wow.
So so you're working to be there. So
what were some of the requirements? What did you have to meet?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
I can tell you we got benchmarks. I can tell you we have benchmarks and stuff. But when it comes to like talking about the world class athlete program, most of the stuff is like limited. Like I got to talk about the people who are in it. I can talk about how great they are, but qualification benchmarks and stuff is between the coaches and the people who are running the show, the higher ups. And I don't want to make any of them.
Obviously, it's for a purpose, right? It's all for a reason. It's all for a purpose.
Yeah.
With the accomplishments that you already had, and knowing that you still have plenty of time, right, to compete, and obviously you went through the COVID and all that other stuff. But were you kind of already in the mix as far as like world teams? Because of the accomplishments you already had, were you already in the mix of being like top 1, 2, 3 for the world team, things like that? As far as how old were you now by then? U23s would have been in the window, right?
Yeah. So I was pretty much already qualified. I did a lot of good things. I already made world teams and stuff like that. Placed internationally, junior world champion. So yeah, I was pretty much qualified. If anybody watching, you meet those qualifications,
Hey.
Come our way. So we had a great room. We have a great room right now in the WCAP program. Everybody's qualified to be there. And you just notice that that the diversity of the room makes the room. So like we have people who completely different wrestling styles from myself, and like I said, like I'm pretty good at adapting and learning like on the spot. Sure. So being able to wrestle like dudes like that, like it prepares you for whatever the heck is going on. So my first year, it was just sort of kind of more so, we're gonna make this world team and we're gonna try to get as much as we can out of this year, because like I can tell that I had some catching up to do.
Sure.
I have catching up to do. You just took 2 years off, and you think you're about to beat everybody up. Be a world like I wake up and I tell myself every day I'm gonna be a world champ. I'm training to be a world champ, and that first year, it showed me how much catching up I had to do.
Sure,
and
sure.
What I learned though is that it wasn't as much as I thought, because I'm a natural. Like I work hard. Like people think I'm lazy because like the way I pull up in the room, like I have like the baggy singlet and stuff like that. Like my warm up jog isn't necessarily as hard as everybody else's, but they don't know like this is how I get my mind right for the day. I feel like people can sometimes take like things a little too seriously, and that's like their downfall.
Right.
For me, like you got to remember, it's like it's all one big of a game, and you're gonna have days where you get your butt kicked. You're gonna have some days where you're kicking the butt. Just take everything like with a grain of salt. And
it's hard to stay positive too. In a situation of like where you're healthy. COVID came around, and all that stuff came around, but you're healthy and you're not able to compete, and it's like that. I'd have been pulling my hair out too, like just going crazy. Like I need to get out. I need to wrestle something somewhere. I don't care if it's a bear. I don't care if it's a head of broccoli. I just need to wrestle something, right? So you get in the room, you have all these high level athletes, especially in Greco, that you're surrounded with, and the knowledge that you're surrounded with. Did you find that you were in, because you even mentioned it before, that you were picking up on things that you had learned earlier and brought them? You're like, oh man, maybe this is what was missing. What was one of those things that you were working on? I think you're talking about pummeling and things like that, but what were some of the simpler things that you picked up on that were like, bam, changed the game?
Yeah, so pummeling is like, if you know, Greco Roman is huge. Just, some would say the biggest part of, like, you know, feet wrestling and Greco Roman wrestling. So the pummeling aspect of it, you know, wet wrestling versus dry wrestling, which I tell the new guys about, because like it was one of the things that TC used to always talk about with me, and I'm like, I really don't get the wet wrestling, dry wrestling thing. I'm just gonna go out here and wrestle. But you know, as you get older, you start understanding a little bit more, like, you know, things you do when you're wet versus when you're dry. You know. Wet being sweat.
Right.
They're like, what's this dude talking about?
Dump of water on him?
Yeah. Which is funny. TC used to like make us wrestle. Like the sprinklers would come on at the football field at the high school in Colorado, and he'll make us pummel in it.
No kidding.
He'll make us. It would be so cold, and I was like, this dude is crazy. Yeah, this dude is crazy.
That's like Navy SEAL training for Greco Roman wrestling. That's what that is.
But he didn't sugar cookie us. He didn't throw sand on us.
No, he don't.
He didn't throw sand on us.
That's awesome.
So like things like that, and just like you know, mat awareness and like knowing where you are in a match, you know, things you do early on opposed to like later on in the match and stuff like that. Even out, like, those are still like things you got to practice every day. You know, the best in the world, they're practicing it every day. I'm telling you right now, I'm practicing it every day.
Every day.
It's not like, you know, you be down on points and you can mentally like zone yourself out instead of like, okay, what do I got to do now? You know, you got to start chipping away. It is what it is. Ones and twos. You got to start chipping away.
So do you get to, because you've been at the Army WCAP for a while, right? It's 2-3 years, I think, right? Somewhere around there.
2-3 years.
So being that you're out there, the training and the knowledge, do you guys still go out? Like I see that you were out at Illinois for a little bit, right? Training out there. Do you guys do they? Because I don't understand how the Olympic athlete situation works really. Do they allot you certain times of the year? Well, hey, if you want to go out and go train, you know, maybe you go find a place, I don't know, California, Arizona, whatever. Do they give you time frames to be able to kind of go on your own and train places? Is that part of your schedule? Like, how does that work out for you?
Well, we got the best room in the country. So, like, if you want to train with the best, you stay with the WCAP program. We have 5 people on the Greco World team. This year, so that's huge. So
for sure.
We got, like, we have the best room. If you want to go train somewhere else, you can take leave. That's one of the things that the military does, is like pretty much vacation days. And you can go do what you want with that. Other than that, like, most of our training camps are already planned out by the general manager of the U.S. Greco. So like everything's already planned out. Like, you know, you go to this country, you're going to train here for this amount of time, and Greco trips aren't short. You know, you're over there for like a month and a half. It's, you know, till they get done with you. Type deal. Sometimes you don't even know where you're going. You just wake up with itinerary.
For a little while I wouldn't mind that, but not every day.
It's something, and I'm so honest with myself. So like I'm a natural complainer. I will tell my coaches exactly how I'm feeling before I go out there and do anything.
That's good. Hey, because I need to get that off your chest.
Yeah, I need to let them know this is. Hey, I'm feeling terrible right now, but I'm going out here for you. I'm going. You know, I'm going out here for everything you've done for me. This is my best effort.
So, where did you get? You started throwing at Harvey Twisters. Because dude, you're in so many highlight reels, like a ton of them. It's if it's not every match, it's every other match that you're in. Something happens where they can make a highlight out of it. Where other than of course we love to see a suplex the guy. What's your favorite throw?
My next throw, man. My next throw is my favorite throw. Because look, it's either gonna be great or we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board.
What were some of the best I guess events that you put a show on it that you think were the most memorable to you? Like, which one sticks out in your mind the most, as far as, and it doesn't even have to be one that you won, you know, especially maybe it was a best throw you had at the tournament, but what kind of events stick out in your mind the most recently? I would say in the past 2-3 years that you've been to that were like, yeah, that was an awesome time.
My recent silver medal in Hungary, that was a good time for me.
Nice.
And then all my junior worlds experiences. Like, I think Junior Worlds is like where I really like, got my stamp for like putting on the show.
Yeah.
Because I'm a creative person, like, and most of the times when most of my moves, like I'll have a dream about it and then I'll go to the rest of the room and I'll try it out. Like, yeah. But like I used to like be my most creative when I was in the room wrestling with Rayvon Perkins all the time.
Okay.
Like, I'll be like, hey Ray, I had like this crazy idea. We should try this, and then like we'll start wrestling, and then him being an older, more experienced guy, he'd be like, okay, yeah, that's good, but you might want to try it like this, and then like we'd just like start making stuff up.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's you
times,
think about like Ben Askren talks about like seeing the shadows, wrestling around in his head and figures and whatnot. I mean, it goes to show that the guys that get it, that really, and there's a lot of guys that have passion for the sport, but like it just happens. Like it happens either in their head, you envision it. I did the same thing with soccer. I'd watch one guy do it. I saw it in my head. I would go out on the soccer field and try to do it at any angle, from the left, from the right, from anything. Just I kept doing it until I got it right. When you start getting to the into the senior level competitions, do you see yourself as maybe an Olympic championship is coming up in the near future here? I mean, right now, the path that watching what you've done in the past, I'd say, I don't know, year and a half has been pretty damn good. So who's your toughest competition so far that you find yourself in front of? I'd say here and there, every, these international competitions you go to, who's your toughest competition right now?
Right now, Azerbaijan, Suleimanov. He's a good dude. Yep. He just took silver at the World Championships. Yep. The first time we wrestled was a better match. The second time, it was one of those things where you have a strategy for somebody and it just falls through the cracks. I'm just
didn't work,
man. Yeah. And like he's a top caliber wrestler. So people don't realize that Greco Roman is fast. Like people think Greco Roman is slow.
Yeah.
You can look and then look away, and it's only 2 4s and you're out of there.
Right.
Like that's my motto. Like 2 4s and I can go home. So I'm if I'm trying to get out of there, like I'm looking for how to throw you, but you got to be able to wrestle 6 minutes. So pretty much being able to stand out there for 6 minutes, and then picking and choosing, letting the dude open up is a difference maker in Greco Roman wrestling. When I was younger, I used to just like try to highlight everybody, and Ivan, the suplex guy, he told me, he was like, right now your wrestling style is like a hand grenade, and you throw it one time, boom, and there it is done. Like, you want it to be like a rifle. You want to be able to keep shooting.
Sure.
Keep shooting.
Good point.
Keep shooting. So that was one of the ways I pretty much I changed and I grew, developed, matured as a Greco-Roman wrestler. But I'll say he's like one of my toughest opponents right now, because it's like a style matchup thing. He's sneaky. I like it. I like the way he wrestles. It's fun to play with. We wrestled in camp a lot too, and so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so nice. It was one of those things. Next, Axel McMudoff, super fun to wrestle. Super fun to wrestle. Yeah, he puts people away, man. He puts people away. You
wrestled him a couple times before? Wasn't it 2020? Did you wrestle him?
Yeah, we're 1-1 right now. He beat me my last year of juniors, and I beat him the year before my last year.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
So he's a super fun dude to wrestle. He's sneaky. It's one of those things. It's like, I don't know if you watch like Spider-Man or anything. Like when Peter Parker like runs into Miles Morales, and they're like, it's like, dude, you're like me, dude. Like it's one of those things, man. So you're like, you're always on your toes, and always sort of on edge, because you never know. Like it feels like no force, and then next thing you know, you're flying.
That's right. So what competitions you got coming up next?
I got nationals. After nationals, Croatia. It's the Grand Prix, I believe, and then after Croatia, getting ready to qualify this way for the Olympics of the Pan American qualifier.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, we've had you on for a little over an hour here, man.
It didn't even feel like an hour. It didn't even feel like an hour.
And that's the best part, because I just like hearing the stories and the stuff that you guys had to talk about. And honestly, if anybody takes anything away from anything that you guys, the stories that you shared, it's that you have the creative, like, I guess, inspiration on a mat that you show is like, it's insane. You're the way that you move, the way that you're able to just have explosive shots, as far as a Greco-Roman guy goes, and the way that you throw, and you're pumped every single time. every time you go out and compete. It's fun to watch you. So with you kind of getting into the groove of the season, we're going to be watching you. We're going to be seeing exactly what's going on. We're going to be sharing everything that we can about you because it's fun watching you. So when you guys get into the Wisconsin area, feel free to reach out because we'll definitely be able to get you over here. Yeah, hell yeah,
I would love to.
Yeah, and we'll get you in the pit here. We can actually do like a live episode right here. So, you got any plugs? You got something you want to plug? You got any sponsors going on? What's going on with that?
So now I'm military, man. WCAP, World Class Athlete Program. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys, the viewers. You guys make this possible.
Yeah.
And thank you. You're great. I'm glad that you reached out to me and we got this done because people don't know us, they're freestyle heroes. Greco's
right. Well,
outlier.
That's the thing is you guys are such great athletes. I mean, and like you said, people think that Greco is like so slow. It's not, man. I mean, it's all upper body, and sometimes you don't see the action that's going on by the chest trying to get some hand control.
Dude. It's nuts. Like I want more people to branch out. I want more people to know me. I want more people to know other Greco Roman athletes. Give it a try because even if you don't want to be a Greco Roman wrestler, be an all around wrestler. Like, don't be one of those guys who gets an underhook and looks like they're ticklish. They they laugh when they're getting pushed out of bounds.
That's right.
And if you have a throw in your back pocket, you're never out of a match either. So that's the other thing.
Never. We were just at a Folkstelt high school tournament, and I tell you what, some of the kids that were behind, that was what they're going to, is some type of throw to get a kid on their back. So it's all part of it. And Liam trains. He goes out to by Lucas and trains. He hasn't gone in about a year, but he goes out. He would go out there to train because it's still important. I mean, that hand fight. If you learn how to hand fight Greco style, you're gonna kill it in folk style, man. Forget about it.
Game changer. Man. Like, you can literally tumble someone in the dirt.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Man. So when you guys wind up traveling, do you guys always go as a team? Do you guys travel together like that? Or do you guys kind of go individually?
So sometimes it can be individual, and then we just link up at the next airport, usually overseas, Frankfurt, Munich, something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
It's just easier that way, opposed to trying to get everybody over into like one state, unless we have a camp and then everybody just travels from the same state. But
you guys are always usually in the same spot anyways when it comes to training camps and everything like that. So but hey, man, nothing but luck to you. I'm going to talk to you for just a second once we get done here, but I'm going to play the music that we do this fancy thing and make it look all pretty.
The credits.
But I appreciate you being on, and I know but I don't know how many people I don't pay attention to it because we're all in conversation. But this will be live out too, not live, but this will be put out in audio form. It'll be out sometime this week yet. So, but share that. That's going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsors, 920 Hat Company, Appleton Tattoo. Got my back tattoo from those guys. So much appreciated. Again, we're going to talk for a second, but for everybody else, we are out. Peace.
All of our episodes are brought to you by Appleton Tattoo, located at 117 South Appleton Street in Appleton, Wisconsin, right off the main drag on College Avenue. You can't miss them. I've had some work done. I have a Celtic cross that covers my back that was done by Jason. We're not done yet. Jason Winans and crew, the artists that he have there, those guys are the best in the Fox Valley. They are definitely one to go to if it's something that you've just been kind of throwing around. They'll make you feel comfortable. It's a very clean environment, very nice crew, and very willing to get done whatever you need done when you need it done. You can message them on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook. You can give them a call at 920-604-8289 and get in touch with Jason Winans and crew at Appleton Tattoo, located again in Appleton, Wisconsin at 117 South Appleton Street, right in Appleton. Very flexible hours, great crew, clean environment again. I would not send you anywhere else except for these guys. Appleton Tattoo.